Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite girl in the whole wide world, Ada Uju, and you're welcome to Stitchadress, where we do sewing tutorials, sewing tips, sewing tricks, and fashion business tips. Now this is a part 2 of a video I did. The first part was sewing tools you don't need to buy. Now this video is actually must have pattern drafting tools. Like, these are tools you must have when you want to draft your pattern. If you want to learn pattern drafting, if you want to dive into the whole pattern drafting world, if you want to learn for yourself, if you want to draft, if you want to learn, to do it commercially, just drafting pattern in general, these are tools you must have to help you draft your pattern better. Okay, before we get into the video, if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, please. I beg you in the name of God, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that whenever I upload a video, you'll be the very first person to get notified. Let's just go into the video. So the first most important thing you need to draft your pattern, of course, is a pattern paper. So you need a pattern paper to draft your pattern. You guys know that there's no pattern without pattern paper, right? There's no pattern without pattern paper. So you need a pattern paper to kickstart drafting your pattern. Very important, most important. And the reason why you need a pattern paper is so that you'll be able to draft your pattern. If there's an issue, you erase it. You can erase, you can adjust, right? You can erase, you can adjust, you can cut it out, you can spread it, you can add 2 inches. It's not like you can't do this thing on fabric. You can, but you can work better with your pattern paper. You can cut, you can spread, you can slice, you can adjust, you can put sellotape. There are different things. You can cut and join, you can use your sellotape to do different things on your pattern paper. Very important. So the next most important tool you need for pattern drafting is your measuring tape. You need your measuring tape. Like, you need something to be able to tell you that this distance to this distance is 1 inch or 2 inches. Some people draft in centimeters, some people draft in inches, and your measuring tape has both the centimeter side and the inches side. So another important tool you need for pattern drafting is your measuring tape. Another important tool you need for your pattern drafting is your straight ruler. You need your straight ruler so you'll be able to connect from point A to point B, from point B to point C, to point C to point D. When it comes to pattern drafting, your lines have to be precise. If they are straight, they are very straight. If it's slanted, it is well slanted. If it's curvy, it is very well curvy. So you need your straight ruler to join point A to point B in the most precise way, following up with your straight ruler. Another important thing you need for your pattern drafting are your French curves. Now, I always tell beginners, when you want to kickstart pattern drafting, start up with just your straight ruler and your French curve, and from there you build up your ruler collection. Do you understand? Now, you need your French curve, to connect those curvy areas in your pattern. When you can have like a straight line, you can have like those curvy parts like your neckline, your hips, your armhole curve. So you need your French curve to get those curves in place when you're drafting your patterns. So another important tool, very, very important tool you need for pattern drafting is your pencil. And most times, I always shy away from using, in fact, the only times I use biro to draft a pattern is when I'm filming a video for you guys. Because with pencil, with the camera, you might not really see it. Sometimes I use biro, but when you want to draft your pattern, make sure you use your pencil. Pencil is very, very important, because when you draft your pattern, because when it comes to pattern drafting, you will draft, you will erase, you will redraft, you will put your curve, you adjust. So you need your pencil for those things, because it can easily erase the line and take it back in. I think when I'm drafting a pattern here on this channel for you guys, I use my pencil first. I do like a really mild line before I go with my biro, so that you guys to see it very well. But as a beginner, even when you're drafting pattern for yourself, if I'm not drafting pattern for you guys to see, I don't use my biro. I use just my pencil, because I know somebody's going to come to the comment section and say, "But how do you use your pencil? You use your biro." I know. It's because you guys won't see it on camera. That's why I always use my biro sometimes. But something really, really important you need for pattern drafting is your pencil, because that way, places where you need to erase and readjust, you can easily do that with your pencil. Following up with things you need to draft your pattern is your pencil, your eraser, and your sharpener. What do we use our eraser for? To erase places in the pattern where you want to adjust, or your mistakes, you want to erase it out, to make sure you have like really precise lines on your pattern. Of course, you need your sharpener, whether it's your razor blade or your normal sharpener, you need it to always sharpen your pencil. You might see that these things are very, very basic, but by the time you start drafting your patterns and you don't have these things readily available, you will just start and stop till you just forget about pattern drafting. The next most important thing you need for pattern drafting is tracing wheel. And the reason why you need your tracing wheel is because sometimes you might need to transfer lines from one pattern to another pattern. You don't have the luxury of drawing all the lines on this pattern all over on the other pattern. So what you just do is put your pattern paper, on another pattern paper, use your tracing wheel to make an imprint on the other pattern paper, and you just use your ruler and your pencil to trace out the outline of the tracing wheel. So that is what you need your tracing wheel. You guys can hear what it's called, tracing wheel. It just helps you transfer all the markings of one pattern to another pattern paper to help you easily draft your patterns. Another thing, this one is very, 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 very important, you need for pattern drafting is your scissors. After drafting your pattern, you need to cut out the excess you don't need, and your scissors is something you really, 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 really need for pattern drafting. Another important thing you need for pattern drafting is your rotary cutter. Like from its name, you can tell what it does. You need your rotary cutter for those points that are curvy, that are circular, that are a little rounded, that when you go in with your scissors, it won't really, really, really do a good job. So you need your rotary cutter when you're drafting your pattern, because when you're done drafting your pattern and you want to take out all the excess you don't need, as in when you want to take out all the excess you don't need, you need just your pattern. You go in with your rotary cutter to cut those curvy sides, okay, those circular sides, and you just use your scissors to cut the places that are straight or slanted or not so curvy. Another important tool you need for pattern drafting is your sellotape and your sellotape cutter. You guys know that sometimes we have like really, really simple patterns that don't need slashing and spreading, but we also have patterns that you need slashing and spreading. Now for the patterns where you need let me not bite my tongue. For the patterns where you need I'm going to bite my tongue on this video. For the patterns where you need to slice and spread, okay, you guys know we have to hold those patterns down. Maybe you have to slice and spread and transfer the width on another pattern. You guys know that we need our sellotape or our masking tape to hold those pattern spreads down, okay? Now you guys know how difficult it is to cut your sellotape with one hand. So this is where your sellotape cutter comes in. So another very, 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 very important tool when it comes to pattern drafting, pattern making, is your sellotape and your sellotape cutter. Now something else you need, pattern master. Now the pattern master has like a straight end, it has curvy ends, it has like a diversity that people who draft patterns actively have testified to this. Okay, now the way I learned how to draft my pattern, with just my straight ruler and my French curve. Now I've mastered drafting my patterns with straight ruler and French curve. That doesn't mean that you don't need pattern master. A lot of people that don't use my combination of straight ruler and French curve, they use their pattern master. So something really, really, really important you need to kickstart your pattern drafting journey, okay, is your pattern master. Now when you have first of all, you can start with your straight ruler and your French curve. Later, when you get the money, you can go ahead to buy your pattern masters. Then if you want, you can go ahead to buy rulers that you feel will help pattern drafting easy for you. That is, when it comes to pattern drafting, you start with the very, very basics. Then you go ahead to buy things that you know will make pattern drafting easy for you. For me, I've not seen the need to get a pattern master, only because when I was learning how to sew, I learned how to draft with just a straight ruler and French curve, and I have really, really mastered that. But I've seen a lot of people, even here on YouTube, they use their pattern masters, they don't use their French curve. So you guys see, you can't have a pattern master and go ahead to get a French curve. So if you want to go into pattern drafting, so you either get a straight ruler and a very long ruler, like a very long straight ruler, okay, and your pattern master, or you get a straight ruler and your French curve, and from there, if you want, you can buy your pattern master. When it comes to pattern drafting, you don't really have to break the bank. You basically need something that will help you get your straight lines and your curvy lines in place. You tell yourself, oh, I have to buy a pattern master before I can start drafting my pattern, or I have to buy those ruler that connects, you know, the waist to the hips to the hem before I can start my pattern drafting. You can quickly start with your straight ruler and your French curve. Then if you want, you can just get your pattern master, or you can simply buy your straight ruler and get your pattern master and still get other things I've mentioned in this video. So these are basic tools you need to start your pattern drafting journey. Let me know in the comment section something really important you use for pattern drafting that maybe I didn't mention here in this video. Let us all learn from each other. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, okay? Hit the like button, hit it. It is very free. Make sure you also hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Okay, it is also free, and I'll see you in my next video. Make sure you watch my other videos as well. They are fun videos as well. Bye guys. Bye.